Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Salt and Burn This, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Sami.
I'm Valerie.
And today we have a very special guest joining us. Again, no one famous, I'm sorry, but it is someone that is besides us. So I'd like to welcome my friend Adrian. Hi, Adrian.
Hello.
Adrian and I met when I used to live in Ohio. We worked at the same restaurant, and it was almost instantaneous. We became pretty fast friends, I would say.
Yeah. Super fast.
Yeah. Bonded by the hatred of Toledo, Ohio.
It kind of happens with you, Sami.
I mean, only with certain people. It's not everybody, you know. It's just those certain people, and then they stick around forever, you know.
Yes, I'm not going anywhere, just so you know.
Forever, whether you like it or not.
So it's like super early. I think this is one of the earliest recordings for the podcast that we've ever done.
It's absolutely the earliest.
So my voice isn't awake yet. If I sound a little bass baritone-y, it's because it's early.
Same. And then for Adrian, he went out the night before, so we're all like, hey.
I'm like Barry White over here. It's all right.
Yeah.
Although it's going to be a joy for me to edit because I usually hate the sound of my own voice, but then when it's a little bit lower, I'm like, okay, I can handle that. That's all
Be
right.
sexy.
I can deal with
sexy.
Yes.
So on the last episode, I just want to do you pointed out something that I missed, which is great. Well,
Yeah.
I want to point out, I missed a props call out in Mystery Spot. That deer head made an appearance in that episode.
Oh,
It was
where, in the
actually-
restaurant?
In the mystery spot. It was actually on the
It
wall
was in the
behind.
mystery spot.
Yeah, when Sam and Dean were in there the first time asking questions.
Yeah.
So before, it was like the very first time that Dean gets killed. It was on the wall behind him. I'm just like, son of a bitch. Missed the call out of the deer head. Yeah.
Is there like a thing with it? Like, is it just...
It's a thing.
deer
They reuse props all the time.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
And I think it became a kind of a running gag, is just to see, you know, there's certain props that you will notice propping up every once in a while.
Yeah, I would say it's like an inside joke that probably the props team had with themselves.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, Adrian, did you ever watch Psych?
No, I did not.
Okay, then never mind. I'm going to make a reference to it. Like in every single episode of that show, they've snuck a pineapple in it at some point. Either physically a pineapple fruit, or they say something about pineapple, or it's like a picture
like an
of
emblem on
like
a
a
shirt.
drawing of a pineapple. Yeah. So
That's hilarious.
cute things that little, set crews do to keep themselves entertained, I'm sure.
Well, when I worked in Cleveland, the mascot of the opera company was a stuffed chicken, and on opening night, the technical director would hide the chicken on the set somewhere so that it was never in a place that the audience would be like, hey, is that a chicken? But it was always someplace that the cast would come off stage and be like, found the chicken. You know?
Season 3, Episode 12, Use in Bello. I looked up how to pronounce that. Is it right to sacrifice one person in the hope of saving many? Sam and Dean wrestle with that heart-wrenching question when they're jailed in a small town where the locals are possessed by demons. Written by Sarah Gamble and directed by Phil Screecha.
Jus in Bello.
Jus in Bello, which means law in war. I looked that up too.
Yeah, the laws
You know what's
governing.
funny?
Yeah.
What?
Because I was looking for the episode, and my Netflix is in Spanish. So I was like, wait, that doesn't say that. I'm watching, I'm like, is this the right episode? Because what?
Well, the last time we had somebody on, or at least one of the last times we had a guest on, Sammy started reading from an episode that we'd already done.
Yeah, I did.
And it wasn't the episode that he had studied. And he was like, I don't think I'm ready to do this podcast. It's the wrong episode.
Like, wait, I thought you said episode 4. And I was reading like episode 3, and I was like, oh, wait. Whoops.
This
It's
sounds
like I was
Alright.
reading the description. I was like, this sounds familiar.
But yeah, Jus and Bello is the laws governing warfare, and it's the laws that are meant to keep like civilians from being killed or mass destruction happening. Certain weapons can't be used. It's all those little wars of. It's the humanitarian rules of warfare, essentially. Don't always get adhered to. Apparently, well, I should caveat that it's the American rules of warfare.
Okay.
Recap.
Okay. You recap, there's a lot going on in the recap.
I know, I just listed it.
Yeah, so did I. So did I. It's like, a war's a-coming, Henriksen's, like, opposition to the boys, Ruby and Dean and how much he hates her, Sam on the way to being replaced as demon leader, Casey, that housewife Tammy witch, one of the seven sins. They were all saying, like, oh, you used to be the leader and now you're not. Someone's coming for you.
Yep.
All
Demon
of the
smoke.
demons that are let loose from the gates of hell, and Bella stealing the colt.
Stealing the colt.
Whew, that's just in the first, 30 seconds of the episode.
Yeah.
Haven't even
And
started the
go.
episode yet. Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
So our map quest moment of this episode is Monument, Colorado, which I've never been to. It does exist. It's a real place. And it's just north of Colorado Springs. So I think they just kind of put their finger on the map and went, meh.
Yeah.
Let's do an episode here.
Small town Colorado. I have not been there either.
No, I've never been to Colorado.
Oh,
Like at all. I would
Well, it's
love
fun
to,
there.
but
if you like outdoorsy stuff.
Yeah.
well, yeah,
It's
I do.
definitely beautiful. I did crash my truck there. I don't recommend that.
I've been to Arizona and Utah. That's about it. Like
Oh.
around Colorado.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've whoop.
So the episode starts with Sam and Dean breaking into I'm assuming a hotel room, and it's nice. It's a nice hotel room, and it turns out this is Bella's room. They've been looking for Bella, and she's not there, but her wigs are. And while they're in there, the phone rings, and it's Bella.
Yes.
And so once again, Bella has eluded the boys. And she's just calling to rub it in their face that once again they have missed her.
Yes.
Very nanny boo boo. And I'm really disliking Bella. I am really disliking that she's such a thorn in their side. And Dean has now surpassed any type of flirty McFlirty with Bella. He says, he doesn't just say, I'm going to kill you. He says, I'm going to stab you. If I find you, I'm going to stab you. And I'm like, so he has gone past just the impersonal, gonna kill you. He's thought about it. He's got a plan.
Yeah,
He is personally going to end her life. And I think she actually is a little bit afraid.
Yes, I think that she is afraid because with all of her bravado, when she's like, oh, I miss our witty banter, and like, don't you think I took precautions? And right when she says that, cops burst in, throw them down on the ground. And when she hangs up the phone, you can see on her face, like, all that bravado gone. She's like, whew.
Yeah, it's like a breath of relief.
Yeah, so I love that these cops kick in a door that's clearly either open or unlocked. That all I had to do was like, turn that on.
Yeah.
But boom, these cops burst in.
Yeah, you gotta make a show.
And wrestle Sam and Dean to the ground with guns on them, and in walks Henriksen. And I love this camera angle because
I did too.
The camera angle was shooting low, like the camera was low, shooting up at Henriksen. So he was like this giant in the room that walks in
it's
and
like
is standing
a
over.
slow pan up,
pan up.
following the boys' eyes, as they're
Start with the boots. Who is it? Who is it? Boom, it's Henriksen. And so he's like this looming figure while they're like having their heads pressed into the carpet by the cops. And they're like, if they could say fuck, they would.
Yeah.
It was just,
That's what I was saying. Fuck.
we're
That's
screwed.
what I saw.
Yeah. And title splash.
Yeah. I do just want to throw in there real quick because, Dean is yelling at Bella about the colt. He wants the colt back. It's really important, and you're just going to sell it. How dare you?
Killed. Yeah.
but she doesn't admit that she's going to sell it. Or she doesn't say, like, oh, it'll fetch a pretty penny, or, you know, whatever the hell she says when she's going to sell something. All she says is, like, you don't have any idea about me,
what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah. So you're like, what are you going to do with it?
What are you going to do with it? But she's got it, like, you know...
I know, it's just sitting on the seat next to her.
Next to her. It's like, who does that? But it was on a towel. It was on this nice little display.
Well, so the camera could make a nice little cut, too, knowing that that's what she's looking at. Okay, so then next, Henriksen, or Vic, comes storming in to, like, the local police station in just, like, an ass kind of mood. Like, he's just an ass, this guy.
Yeah, I just wrote dick. I'm like, what a dick. He's ordering all the local law enforcement around.
Making them seem stupid.
Yeah, and he's really condescending to them. And, you know, very, very FBI. It's stereotypical FBI taking over a crime scene type of thing. You know, this is my jurisdiction now. So anything you have is mine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he could have just been peeing on stuff and it would have been the exact same, you know, mentality. Mine. So he orders the local sheriff and cops to, like, empty their holding cells so that he can bring in, you know, these wanted fugitives and hold them there until they can get them to a bigger, badder supermax prison.
Yes, and he says all of this in front of that cute little secretary that's sitting there. Nancy, who is fondling a crucifix on her neck.
Clutches her pearls.
Yes,
exactly.
Clutches her little Christian pearls. And then her other Christian pearls, the rosary on the ground, on the desk.
Her desk is covered with, like, church tchotchkes. There's, like, a Virgin Mary.
Like, there's candles, right? Those, like, candles you can get from, like, the bodegas and stuff.
Yeah, so quite the religious,
God-fearing woman.
God-fearing. But she's got, like, the hair's pressed back. She's neat as a pin. I mean, she was one step away from a wimple and a habit.
That's funny you say that, because I just finished watching that documentary that's on Netflix about the Mormon fundamentalists. It's called Keep Sweet and Pray, or Keep Sweet and Obey. But it's about that crazy, gross guy who married, like, 75 people. And, like, a lot of them ended up being underage. But all the women there, they dress like Little House on the Prairie, essentially. They wear the poofy dresses, and they wear those crazy,
big
like,
hair,
swoopy updo braid things. So yeah, it was interesting seeing this chick after watching that documentary.
Right. You're like, oh,
get out of that life.
Have you ever seen Lucifer?
Oh, I love that show.
She had the same, like, role in Lucifer, the exact same role, like, one of the God-fearing women and all that. It was just funny how that, like, lined up.
But here's the thing. Amy Garcia is this actress's name. She was also, before she was on Lucifer, she was on Dexter. Did you guys ever watch Dexter?
Oh, my God. Yes, she was.
And she was a hottie bo body. She played the sister of one of the cops. And Dexter is heavy into sex scenes. And she was one of the main players.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've only seen the second season of Dexter, so I don't, I know him and the one that plays his sister.
The sister who only says fuck every other word.
Yes, exactly. She only says fuck. I do remember that.
So one of the things Nancy hears Henriksen describing the Winchesters as, he describes them as, what is it? Satan worshipping nut job killers.
Yeah.
Which makes her, like, clutch even more. But then, like, walk in Sam and Dean. They're not only handcuffed, they're boot shackled, and they're shackled together.
Yeah. It's like all of the combinations of chains that you can think of. It's like wrists, ankles, to each other's wrists, each other's ankles. They're doing the shuffle walk.
Shuffle. And both Dean and Sam see Nancy. They notice Nancy. Dean says, you shouldn't worry about us.
Yeah,
we're
not the ones that you should be worrying about.
Yeah. And he's flippant Dean right now. He's kind of that same Dean he was when they got arrested, like, on purpose.
Whenever he gets arrested, he is this way.
This flippant Dean.
Adrian, when I know you watched this episode, but when was, like, the last time you've watched any episodes of Supernatural?
I've watched it to the end, so
right.
It's been a minute. been a minute. But now, like, I'm gonna start rewatching it because I don't have a show to watch. So I'm like, I'm gonna do that now.
Okay,
It's a
cool.
good show to get back into.
It is. Okay,
Exactly. I love that show.
So it's for you. It's more like the memories are now starting to kind of pop in, and be like, oh
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yep.
oh yeah. Whereas for us, since we're like deep diving every single episode, it's like we're noticing like these little tiny things.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, it may be a little overwhelming. I'm sorry, but
No,
that's just what
I
it's
wrote down
turned
one
into.
thing. I noticed, cause when I watch shows, I always look in the background just because that's what I do. And there was that wanted poster for Molly Baker that they zoomed in on at one point, and then like it came back to it, and I was like, who is this? What? I thought something about that they're gonna say something about it or something gonna happen, but I was wondering why that was like a thing. Because
And it's not a thing.
Yeah,
it's not.
'cause
But why was it?
Why? Because I looked it up too. It's like Molly Baker, Mall Dog, and I was like, what? Who is she? Is she
Yeah.
one of the props
What did she
people? Was she
do?
wardrobe? Was she in the accounting department? Nothing. She's nobody.
Nothing.
They suckered us. That's got to be
Yes.
them laughing at us for being
Yes.
like, oh, who is that?
Yeah,
exactly.
She's
we're gonna throw them
nobody.
for a loop.
So I'm glad I wasn't the only one suckered into that. So thank you.
I was watching the whole time waiting for her to pop up or her to be like one of the demons or something, but no, she was just a picture in the background.
Nope. I made the same mistake in the previous episode. I made this big to-do about a baseball hat that Bobby was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, aha, you know what that hat means? That means that Bobby was at the scene where Sam was exorcising demons.
Yeah,
or
she
something.
made this like whole little web about this baseball hat and a location.
And
No,
son of
it
a
was just a
bitch,
hat that he
was just a
wears.
hat. Because it turns out he was wearing it in an episode previous to that. And I was like, oh, I totally, and maybe the writers were influenced by the prop hat and they just went, oh yeah, in Rebel, whatever. I made a mistake, but did I grab onto that with like both hands. I was like, yes, it affects the story.
Okay, so the chained up boys are dragged into their cell, and there's a nice little Laurel and Hardy bit where they're trying to like sit down on the bench but switch
Separated.
positions. And
Yeah.
Henriksen, meanwhile, is making a call to his boss, who is
Yes.
then an ass to him.
Yes. And on the bulletin board behind the FBI supervisor guy,
Groves is
Groves,
that guy's
yes.
name.
So behind Deputy Director Groves is the wanted poster of Dean, his steel blue, and it's huge. It like takes up a third of his bulletin board is just this Dean wanted poster.
Yeah.
So clearly, the capture of Sam and Dean is like high on their list.
Yes, but Groves does make a point to be like, oh, freaking finally, took you long enough to get these guys.
Yeah, like how embarrassing is it that you let them get away? You lost them, this other time and this other time. The guy who plays Groves, did you guys recognize him?
No, I didn't.
Him, but I don't know from where.
It's Peter DeLuise, one of Dom DeLuise's sons. Peter DeLuise played Doug Penhall on 21 Jump Street, the TV show with Johnny Depp. Kim Manners worked on 21 Jump Street, the TV show.
Oh.
And Peter DeLuise also went on to be one of the directors, producers, executive producers, consultants on Stargate, SG-1.
Oh my God, I'm so shocked that it's a Stargate.
Shocked that I threw Stargate
connection. Just for your reference, Adrian, Kim Manners is one of the executive producers on this show. He also directs a lot of episodes, and he also used to work on X-Files, which was like a huge inspiration for Supernatural.
That's kind of how whenever anyone who hasn't seen it, that's described like it's kind of like X-Files, but just a little bit better. If you watch X-Files, because once I finished watching the show, once it was over, I started X-Files. That show's so long. But I was like, there's a lot of similarities in how the show runs together. It's like, I wish I would have known that, because then I would have clicked in my brain.
Well, now it will.
Yeah, huge X-Files influence.
So back to this phone call. Yeah, Groves is just like a complete ass to Henriksen. Which then kind of makes sense why Henriksen is such an ass, because it's the trickle-down effect. Like, when you're a douchebag to somebody, if someone's a douchebag to you, then you need to, like, let it out to somebody else.
Punch down. Yep.
Yes.
Everybody punches down.
Groves is finally like, I'm going to get on this chopper myself so these guys don't get loose. Again.
Right. You can't do it. You can't handle it. I've got to come and take it away. Take care of it for you.
So Henriksen visits the boys.
Yeah, he's like all super cocky and gloating with the boys. He's like, I get to go have my steak dinner now. You know, I finally caught the big bad Winchesters. What you gonna do about it? Type of thing. And he's just,
and then it's like really threatening with, you guys are going to Supermax before the trial. You're gonna be in solitary. You're gonna be separated.
Never see each other again.
Yeah.
That was the last one on the list, which is never see each other again.
It was that and the dig at their dad, like those really inappropriate dad comments that really pulls Dean away from his usual flippant, you know, like, oh, you're kinky, you know, with these chains, you know, his bullshit.
Is that dad dragged you into a cult, and dad was probably a pedophile, and
it's like, whoa.
Just disgusting stuff. It's like, God, why does it always have to go there?
Yeah.
Always.
But there was an outtake in this scene because Dean fires back with something about needing to go take your Cialis or something like that. You know, makes a manhood comment
Viagra
about,
type of thing.
And in the first take, or in one of the takes, Jensen doesn't say Cialis right. He called it Cialis or something like that. And off screen, you can hear, I'm assuming it's either the script supervisor or the director saying it's Cialis. And Jared goes, how do you know? And I was like, okay, I thought that was actually pretty funny because that's very like, oh yeah, huh? How do you know? How do you know how many it takes? And then something else about this particular setup, the cell door kept opening anytime they went up to it to like, let me out type of thing. It'd be like, boop, and it would pop open on them. And they're like, all right, reset. Back into reality of Supernatural. I think Sam is believing that Henriksen definitely will follow through with all of his threats. There's nothing cute or silly about this. Sam is concerned, you know, and you can just see it on his face. Dean's angry. Sam is concerned. Yeah.
And then they hear the chopper, which, dang, that was fast. And
right? I'm assuming he was at the FBI building in D.C., but he choppered out to Colorado pretty darn fast.
It was like a minute and a half, maybe.
Fastest chopper in the world.
So, in walks Groves, who immediately hands like a giant folder full of paperwork to Henriksen.
A stack of paper. And Nancy thought it was pretty funny.
Yes, much to the delight of the entire squad room.
Yeah. And so Groves goes in to talk to Sam and Dean. Like, he just brushes off Henriksen and is like, boop, I'm going to go talk to Sam and Dean.
Yes. And then the absolute most happens in like less than 2 minutes. You know, it's just like boom, 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 boom.
First, he walks through an unlocked security door, an opened unlocked security door, which I thought was interesting, that if Sam and Dean are these like, you know, crazy nut jobs that need to go to a supermax, right now they're only being held in one cell. Like, why didn't they lock the security doors too? That was my big point out in that. So Groves walks in, closes the security door, and does that like, well, you know, Sam and Dean Winchester finally, you know, caught and behind bars. And he starts to do the whole gloaty gloat talk to
for
them.
like 2 seconds before like he introduces himself and then immediately pulls a silencer gun out, shoots Dean in the shoulder. Sam rushes to the gun and like points the aim semi away from Dean, and there's a huge
while he's
struggle.
Just like firing away. This gun just keeps firing, bang, bang, bang.
Yes. Groves' eyes turn black, and then Sam immediately starts reciting the Latin exorcism, which the boys have learned from last time. Maybe we should memorize this in case we lose the book or the pages. And then Groves starts to go crazy. His head starts thrashing. There's some pretty sweet camera work and editing work going on here. And then right before the grand finale, he just stops and says, gotta cut this short. You know,
this is going to be a long night. And then poof,
demon smoke explodes out of his mouth,
leaving a long dead Groves on the floor. The cops they don't hear the gunshots, they hear the rah
Yeah.
of the demon smoke leaving. They go rushing in to find like Sam still holding the gun that he's wrestled away from the now dead Groves. And they're like, oh my God, he shot him. He shot him. Dean's like, no, he shot me. Notice said bullet wound him bleeding. And Sam's like, there's no blood on Groves. We didn't kill him. We didn't shoot him. We didn't shoot him. They check out Groves and he is like a corpse. He's definitely been dead a while. And even Sam or Dean says he's been long dead. He's probably been dead for months.
Yeah. And there is no bullet wound on him. So what the heck?
So they're like, call for backup or call for help or something like that.
They hear more noise outside. Like that's what prompts them to, check. They hear like noises outside, call on the radio. It's like, hey, you guys out there? What's going on? And then like no response. So then Henriksen's partner, Reedy, goes outside to see what the hell's going on and like to prep the chopper so it's like, let's just get these guys out. And then Reedy notices all the torn apart, bloody dead bodies around of these poor like local little police.
Yeah. The helicopter pilot's dead. The cops that were in the car are dead. The cops who were waiting outside the building, just slaughtered. Absolutely slaughtered. And he walkie-talkies back. He's like, they're dead. They're all dead. And while everybody else inside's like, what do you mean they're dead? Kaboom, another major explosion, and the helicopter explodes, knocks Reedy on his ass.
He survives the helicopter crash, and then when he turns around, is caught by another, possessed human who proceeds to, I assume, rip his heart out or do something bloody
terrible
and killing poor Reedy.
It's the same, the dead cop who stood up and killed Reedy is one of the same cops who arrested Sam and Dean earlier in the episode, but clearly demonized. Now all the cops, with the exception of there's like goofy cop inside and the sheriff and Henriksen, I think, and Nancy are the only ones left alive. So back inside, they're like, hello, on the walkie-talkies, no response. And while they're sitting there in the silence, it's like crackle, crackle, lights go out, and then boop, the auxiliary, lights
there's
pop.
Like this whole like a scene of chaos going on, right? Nancy's trying to get on the phone isn't working. The other cops are like trying to gather their arsenal, being like, what are we gonna do? Oh my God, there's so much, we don't know what's going on. The internet's down. Nancy's cell phone is down. The lights go out, and the boys are like, well, this can't be good. Yep. We know what this means is when the power goes out. Henriksen, in the meantime, is just standing there. He's like...
The sheriff, though, is freaking out. He's like, we gotta go. He is clearly not looking after anybody. He's just like, we gotta get out. Yeah. And Henriksen is like, calm down. That's not what we're doing. It's like, and he says like, they just want to get in here. Yeah.
It's like, it's a siege. And what they want is for us to get out. We got to think about this like a trained professional.
Yeah. My question is, who does Henriksen think is out there? So that was like one thing I wrote down. I was like,
the people that come like take Sam and Dean. He thought that they were coming to get them. Like he had people coming to rescue them, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Henriksen goes to the boys. He's like, so what's your plan? What's what do you got going on here?
You're just gonna have your goons? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because again, Henriksen thinks that they are like these criminal masterminds, essentially, and who knows what kind of army, quote unquote, they might have. He has no idea. It's just the two of them. Okay, so then the boys are alone, and now they're kind of sort of freaking out. They're like, okay, this is a little crazy because the demons usually don't come after us directly, and that's kind of what feels like going on right now. And there's a lot of them, which again is not something we've really dealt with that often. Dean is trying to brush it off with humor, but Sam is not having it. He's just like, this is not the time. Not the time for this, man.
This isn't cool. We're not, having a demon contract out on you is not cool.
Yeah.
But before that, they're left alone in the cell. Sam and Dean are left alone in the cell, and they notice Nancy like kind of peek in around the corner, innocent, like what's going on. And Sam totally turns on his bedside Sam. Can you help us? Look, my brother's bleeding. We're the good guys. Could you get us a clean towel that I can use to press against his wound? And then she goes away, and Dean's like, yeah, nice try. And then 2 seconds later, boop, there she is with a towel. And she, very shyly kind of walks up to the cell like, okay, here, I got you the towel. And boom, Sam grabs her, slams her into the cell bars and like wrestles with her, grabbing the towel. Cop comes running in and is like, hey, let her go. Dean's like, what the hell was that? Like, why would you grab Nancy? And it turns out that Sam had also grabbed her rosary that she had in her, like, I guess, around her wrist. And Dean's like, aha. Aha.
Smart man.
Just love that he went from like bedside Sam to
Yeah, it was like super Mr. Bedside Sam to not at all. So then the sheriff comes by.
he walks into the cell with them.
Yeah.
Time to go. And they're like, I don't think so. No, we're good.
I don't
We're
want to. I'm
good.
good.
Yeah, we're good. Because he's like, he's not
look.
he's not looking at him. His head is down. He's like, no, it's you guys can go. Let's go. And then in walks Henriksen. Is like, what the hell are you doing? And the sheriff is like, we have to let them go, or else these, we're gonna die.
It's like, yeah, we all have to go. Like, we're not. Yeah. I'm just not gonna be a sitting duck situation here. We're gonna make a run for it.
And then, boom! Henriksen pulls out a gun and shoots the sheriff in the head. Yeah. Bam. This cell must just be splattered with blood by this point,
Yeah, and I think during like this short exchange, because again, this is like a massive amount of stuff happening in a short amount of time. When Henriksen is having the exchange with the sheriff, at first the boys were suspicious of the sheriff, but then I think they're both of their attention goes to Henriksen, and they're like, oh, this is the one we need to be suspicious about. But they don't quite catch it fast enough before Henriksen shoots the sheriff in the head. But they react very quickly, and that they wrestle to Henriksen. They wrestle the gun out of his hand. Sam dunks his head in the toilet where they have made a toilet wine holy water concoction.
All I wrote down was, gross.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, ew, that water's too clear. That's nasty.
Yeah,
it's a really nice, jail toilet. But they start exorcising that demon. And just before it finishes, so once again, like the demons always get like the last word before they smoke out.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's too late. I already called them, and then blah. And so demon smoke.
Off to hell. Also, Nancy and the deputy, whose name is Amici, they catch all of this because they come running in again, guns a-blazing, but this time Dean has a gun to be like,
whoa.
Stay back, let him finish. So everyone has now witnessed this
demon
supernatural
possession
event.
Yes. So Henriksen wakes up. So he was just possessed. He's not dead. And he says, and this was a total womp womp moment, but he's like, I shot the sheriff. And Dean has to jump in with, but you didn't kill the deputy. And once again, Sam's like, really? Here? Now?
His face said, read the room, Dean.
I just wrote womp womp.
That actually made me happy because I thought that in my brain. I think it was just me remembering the episode, but I thought that in my brain. I was like, yes, if you didn't say it, I was going to be so pissed.
So Henriksen is now a believer, and he has Amici unlock Sam and Dean from their chains. And now the question is, now what do we do?
Yeah.
So they go about spray painting sigils like devil's traps by the windows and doors. Nancy volunteers that they've got road salt. So they have lots and lots of salt, which is something Dean asked for. Lots and lots of salt.
Yes.
There's a there's a sweet moment between Dean and Nancy. Nancy is patching up Dean because apparently she has first aid qualifications. And she gets to talk a little bit about her religion. And she's like, the funny thing is I got made fun of for going to church and talking about God and talking about the devil. And now I've just witnessed
the devil.
The devil. Demons are true,
Dean needs to get to his car to get something out of the trunk. Of course, he's got the arsenal back there. So
some weapons.
Yes, so he needs to make a run for it. He is like in hustle mode. Yep. And while he's in his trunk gathering all the stuff, you see not too far off in the distance a gas station where you start to see the usual, the flicker of the lights, but then it's immediately followed by a stampede of demon smoke, and you're like, whoa.
Whoa. Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's also like, so it's not just the black smoke anymore. It's like got energy and electricity inside of it, and it is like zooming, like freight train zooming towards the police station.
It's kind of like what the title splash is, right? Where it's like the
Mm-hmm.
black smoke filled with, you know, colorful lightning.
Yeah.
So then these signs start to approach Dean. He sees like the power go out, a huge windstorm come up, and you can see the kind of panic on his face. Oh crap, I gotta hustle. He grabs like one more thing right before this demon cloud then descends on him. Yeah. And then he bolts back into the station.
Yeah. There, and slams the doors, everything's closed, and then the demon train of smoke slams into the police station and just like completely covers it, like smashes into the windows, but doesn't smash the windows, but it just like crashes into the building. And there's rumbling and, you know, stuff is falling down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
But everything holds. The salt lines hold, the sigils hold. The demons didn't get into the building.
Yeah. Nancy had just finished like putting a salt line in when she was like, you know, bombarded by a demon cloud. That's a sight you don't really want to see when you are as God-fearing as she is.
Right. For the moment, they're safe. And so Sam and Dean are, you know, now they're like taking charge of the situation more and being like, this is what we're going to do. And Dean hands out amulets or charms to everybody and says, these will protect you from being possessed. But there's not enough for everybody. And Nancy's like, Amy and I, you know, we're like this. Nancy's like, well, what about you? What about you, Sam and Dean?
And then they pull down their collars of their shirts and they show a tattoo.
Yes! They both have tattoos. Yes. And the tattoos are, I mean, I don't think I can describe it as a pentagram surrounded by flames, essentially.
Yeah, it's like a circle of flames. It kind of maybe looks like a really fiery sun or something. And in the middle of it is a pentagram. Okay, so story time. Shortly after I started working in Toledo at this restaurant with Adrian, we were upstairs working behind the bar together. And I don't even know why you decided to bring this up, Adrian. Maybe it was just I have a feeling that you probably like this show. But you did. You said, hey, do you like the show No Supernatural? I was like, yes, I love it. It's one of my favorite shows. And Adrian does this exact move where he pulls down the collar of his shirt and shows off his anti-possession tattoo. And I screamed.
Oh my God.
Show it again.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And it's
Same
the
place,
exact
too.
location.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
nice.
on purpose.
Oh my gosh. I wrote down that at 23 minutes and 37 seconds is where we see them.
Yes, it's exactly what I wrote too. So Adrian, what made you decide to get this tattoo?
Okay. So I hadn't even heard of the show when I started watching it. My friend told me, he was like, hey, you're really going to like this show. And the fun thing, the episode where they were in Toledo, Ohio with the Bloody Mary episode.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I started watching it. And growing up, every house that I lived in was either haunted or weird. So I've always had this like fear of being possessed, right? I'm like, okay, this is weird. Every house. So I started watching the show, and it was this episode. I remember it was this episode that I watched, and I was like, what? First of all, I love that tattoo. Second of all, I love this show. And third of all, they're hot, so I need to have what they have on them. I just need to. So I had my friend. I was like, hey, I want this tattoo. And he's like, do you want me to draw it? I was like, nope, I want the exact same tattoo. And I told him exactly where I wanted it. And I told him, like, I wanted you to draw it, like, as you tattoo it this way, because I need it to, like, it has to work. And, like, I don't know. For some reason, like, I have not felt so, like, scared about being possessed after I got it. I know that's weird, but, like, I don't know. It just, and I know this episode was, like, in 2008, and I think I got my tattoo in, like, 2010. And I've always felt like something was following my family. I don't know what it was, but it just, because every house, even when I was in college, every house that I lived in had some creepy shit happening. And then I got the tattoo, and I just felt safer, I guess. I don't know. It was
Wow.
cool.
That's great.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So cool.
I am no longer afraid of being possessed, I'll tell you that.
Nice. Nice. That's so awesome. I love
That
that you just
is.
randomly were like, hey, do you like Supernatural?
It's exactly what it was. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it was. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
think we were talking about anything
We weren't.
related.
We weren't.
Like, we weren't talking
We were
about
not.
ghost stories. We weren't talking about, like, Buffy. It was just, oh, hey.
Look at
Wow. Nice.
But I tell you,
this.
I
And I
went.
think that made our bond. That made our bond tighter right there.
It did.
That's a-
That is so cool.
Okay, so Adrian has to go because he's got to go work at your
Boo.
super cool restaurant. I know, boo,
I
but
love
your
it.
restaurant is pretty sweet.
I love working there. I just don't want to work today. I want to sleep.
Well, yeah, that's understandable. But thank you so much for getting up early and doing this with us. And I'm glad that we got to the little tattoo story. That was really what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. Thank you
That's
so much
awesome.
for letting me come on. This is fun. This is really fun. I
Yay,
can't
we'll
wait to
have
do it
Adrian
again.
back again soon. Okay, well, have fun at
Crazy.
work. We'll see you
All right,
later.
bye, guys.
Bye. That was like perfectly timed.
It was. Okay, so after they reveal... Oh, you were talking about, like, how long did they have their tattoos?
Yeah. Not long enough, which is like, okay. So it wasn't something that the writers didn't try to like just sneak this in and have it be something that they've had all along. You know, this is something that they decided to recently do.
Yes, because also, and I did forget to check, but during Mystery Spot, you know, there is a scene where Sam is, like, mostly shirtless, right? He's, like, stitching up a bullet wound in his, like, ribcage or something, or his
Yep.
chest. I had meant to go back and see if it was there or not, or if that part of his chest was covered up so we wouldn't be able to tell, and I didn't check. I wonder, should I try and check?
Check.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I also would have guessed that they got it right after Sam was possessed.
Right.
Okay, so I just checked Mystery Spot, and maybe this was on purpose, but it's cut, like, he's not completely shirtless. He has just, like, cut his t-shirt maybe, like, up to this point.
Uh-huh.
So
Like,
it's hard to
just his
tell.
sternum. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so just under, like, where that tattoo would be. So...
And we can't tell when Dean's in the shower before he slips and kills himself because he's holding the shower curtain across
Yeah, okay.
his delicates. I love it when guys like shield their chest.
Yes. Oh,
Like,
no. Don't look at me. So they could have gotten these tattoos right after Sam was possessed, being like,
Yep.
okay, we can't have that happen again.
Right.
And that was their context of not long
Not
enough.
soon enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not long enough. Yeah.
But anyway, they have them now. Very smart.
It becomes a thing,
It becomes the symbol of supernatural,
Supernatural.
which is pretty amazing.
which I read that I think it was Sarah Gamble who wrote this.
Mm-hmm.
She said they talked about the introduction of the tattoos,
Yeah.
and they said one of the things she quipped about was, "Well, no, we've made it as a show. As soon as someone gets this tattoo, like as soon as a fan gets this tattoo, we'll know that we've made it as a show." And I'm like, "Oh man,
Oh, man. You have no idea.
no idea what you just spawned with those tattoos."
I actually wouldn't mind getting that tattoo. Maybe not on my chest, you know, but and maybe a little bit smaller, but
A little smaller. I thought about it, but one of the things I always think about though is like if Jensen and Jared, people who were like those characters, didn't get themselves that tattoo, and that was like their life's blood for 15 years. Maybe I don't need that tattoo. You know.
then now we have some vignettes going on as they're prepping for this attack. Vic and Dean are in the sheriff's office, like loading rock salt guns. Victor's looking at the nameplate of the sheriff that he had killed while being possessed, and is kind of feeling some guilt or shame or something about it.
Yeah.
Nancy is doing more work around the windows, and then she spots a friend outside because now the building is surrounded by people
People instead of smoke. Yeah.
with black eyes. And she knows, oh, hey, that's, I forgot to write the name down.
I forgot to write down her
Julie
name, too.
Adams, you know?
Yeah, right.
And Sam's like, well, that's not Julie anymore.
Not anymore.
And
Black
Nancy catches on
eyes.
quick. She's like, oh, that's where all the demon smoke went? Was into these people?
The dead cops are all standing up now.
Yeah.
So it looks like they've got live people, dead people, all possessed.
Deputy Amici, he takes a chair.
He's got to go see. Yeah.
I know, to see what's going on. And he wipes down the window because it's been fogged over, looks out, you know, I don't know what he sees. We don't know what he sees. But as he leaves, it turns out he has then disturbed the salt line on the window.
I thought he was going to scrape the devil's trap because he's dragged that metal chair across the spray paint. I was like, oh, God. You know, he's going to scratch a line in the devil's trap. But he didn't. Instead, he removed the salt line.
Yes. On accident. But still.
There's always somebody who does it. And in the meantime, Sam and Dean get to have the truth is out there talk with Henriksen, even though he's pretty much on board. But now they like compound it. They're like, yeah, werewolves are real. Ghosts are real. You know, this is real. That is real.
It's just Dean and Victor in this room.
Oh, is it?
Talking,
okay.
Yeah. Which I found interesting.
The two nemesis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they have this heart-to-heart where, as you said, you know, Dean is just like, it's not just demons that are real. It's pretty much everything. But Bigfoot. You know? But
not Bigfoot, yeah. They come to realize that they both actually are very similar. They lead solitary lives. They're heroes, but there's no payout. You know, there's no recognition. You know, you work so hard and you only save, you know, Henriksen said, you know, I worked for 15 years and maybe saved like 5 people. You know, and Dean's kind of taking this in like, well, you know, what did he say? He has like 3 angry ex-wives, you know,
a string of angry ex-wives to be like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. So they realize that they're you know, similar people on similar paths, which is, you know, you shut out the people who love you or who could love you because you're so focused on helping the world in general. So, and you're misunderstood. They're the same guys, they realize.
Yeah. And that they don't really have a family or anything important to go home to, aside from Dean and his
Sam.
Brother and Sam.
Yep. And just then, a window smashes, and in comes Ruby.
Yes.
And she's stuck in the devil's trap that thankfully did not get cut.
Yes, yes.
And before anybody can kill her, Sam and Dean are like, wait, she's with us. And Ruby is pissed.
She's pissed that Sam has not told Dean that there is a new big bad out there. Dean is pissed that Sam has not said anything. But I don't know. I mean, it was just something that Witch Tammy had kind of like thrown out there.
Right.
And Dean was kind of aware of it also, considering that long talk he had with Casey, whatever her, I forget her name. Demons are going to be coming after Sam's job.
Right, because he didn't step up.
Yeah, then Tammy says, like, there's one demon coming for your job, and it's, like, the most powerful demon ever. Dean is pissed that Sam didn't mention it, and Sam is just kind of not saying anything.
Yeah, Sam was particularly quiet for a long portion of this episode.
Yes.
He did
a long
not
portion of
speak
this
up.
section of the episode. And then Ruby is even more pissed that the boys lost the Colt. Because that was going to be the weapon that they needed for this.
Yeah. Well, and Ruby also drops who this demon is. Ruby's, you know, because Dean's like, well, who's this new guy? And Ruby's like, woman. It's Lilith. Lilith is coming for you. And then she like goes through this long line of name calling about what idiots they were for having lost the Colt. But she's like, okay, fine. You don't have the Colt. We can't kill this demon. I have a spell that will work. But it involves killing me. Like, the spell will kill all demons within a certain mile radius, but that includes me. So I am willing to sacrifice myself to kill these demons because this is what has to happen. But in order to complete this spell, I need the heart of a virgin. Which, problem number 1, Dean's like, there are no virgins here. And then problem number 2, yes, there is a virgin, and it's sweet little Nancy. And Sam and Dean just want to like fold her up and put her in their pockets and be like, no, not our sweet little Nancy. I just love how Dean is like, really? You haven't, not even.
He's like just incredulous that there is someone still in the world that is a virgin past the age of 18.
And he seems a little disappointed. She's a
Really? I
virgin.
thought that, I mean, disappointed
like-
maybe that she hasn't experienced that.
Well, he says that later, and then I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought he says, wow. And I felt like he was like, I respect that, oddly.
Yeah.
You know, because she stands her ground. She's like, this is my choice, you know.
It's a choice.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Stop shaming me for being a virgin, you asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. He takes it. It's like, you know, she's like the little sister in the room. And it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He seemed disappointed while he was asking, but then once she stood her ground, he's like, okay, yeah, that is cool that you've made this choice.
Mm-hmm.
But Dean is like, no. And Ruby keeps pushing, like, this is the only answer. This is the way this has to go. And Dean says, no. Sam. And Sam doesn't say anything.
No.
He doesn't say anything. And finally, Dean's like, a word.
Yeah.
So Sam and Dean go off, and what's going on? And I was like, why is Dean the human in this conversation? Because Dean even says, where's the talk from you about, you know, we don't kill virgins, you know, that we don't kill people to say, you know, that we don't kill people. Like, where is this talk from you? And nothing. Sam's like, what else is there to do? What's the other answer? And that was his answer.
And maybe it should be noted that Nancy, in the middle of like everyone fighting over her, you know, she steps up and does say, hey, listen, I want to do this because if it's going to save all of those people out there, Nancy says, I want to do this. I want to make this sacrifice.
Right. And even Dean still is like, no.
Yeah, you don't get to make
You don't
that
get to
choice.
choose. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I don't want to say that makes Sam's stance more appropriate, but I definitely would have felt harder about it if Nancy had not
reluctant.
said anything or reluctant, you know, and Sam would have been like, no, we got to do this.
Right.
But I think he was kind of taking her choice into consideration.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, but that's still like, whoa, Sam, this
still,
is off
not
from
as,
you.
It's not, definitely not a Sam reaction.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was resigned to it, I think is what it was. It wasn't like, yes, this is what we.
Yeah, this is, you know, one person to save 30 plus people, and I don't know what else to do.
And kill demons. Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, you're right. Then Dean comes up with the plan.
And while he's explaining the plan, we don't know what the plan is. But Dean, his idea is, he's like, we open the doors and we let them in. That's how we fight this. He's like, we let them in and we fight. And there's an outtake in this moment where Jensen says, we let them in and we fight like men in tights, which was a Mel Brooks movie, Robin Hood, Men in Tights, which and if he hadn't said it, I would have, you know, just like Aiden said earlier, if he hadn't said, you know, but you didn't shoot the deputy, or you didn't, I would have been like, like men in tights, but he said it. Yay. So that's their plan, is to open the doors and kill the demons as they come running in.
Yep.
And Ruby says, this isn't going to work. I know this isn't going to work. I'm leaving. I'm not, you know, you don't want my plan. I know for a fact this plan won't work. And she leaves.
Ruby was extra quippy in this episode. Did you feel that way?
She
every other sentence in her script, in her lines was just
like, you know, give me a mint. I've got innards in my mouth.
Yeah. You know, some of them were funny, but it was like a little bit like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. She was like super angry bitchy. She was actually bitchy in this episode, as opposed to like, here, let me just knock your heads together. Ready? Let's go do this thing.
Yes. So then she leaves, facing this troop of demons. But all she has to do really is hold out her knife, which is interesting that knife is intimidating enough to scare away 30 demons.
Right.
It's 30 versus 1, but she's got the knife and she's just like, I'm leaving.
Well, they just witnessed her on her way in. She killed demons to get in.
That's true, yeah.
So they probably witnessed her badassery and are like, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good. Sam and Dean and now everybody start to clear the salt from the doors or from the windowsills. They scratch all the sigils to open up the traps. Yep, they open the doors and they wait.
They wait. And then the fight scene happens! Oh, man, this fight scene was epic.
It's amazing.
and amazing. And I don't like, it's too much to like go into like all the detail, but you know, Dean's just like shooting rock salt. He's doing pretty well. I think it's Vic who gets like you know, someone like swings from the roof and like does like this kick swing kind of
he gets knocked on his ass. Yeah.
Yes. But he does pull out some holy water after being like choked out and then sprays it. And
like, I hope this works.
Hey, cool. There's punches, there's shots, Big
There's
Sam
blasting.
falls hard, you know.
Oh, poor Sam. And it's just like body after body after body. All these demons just keep running into the building. And in the meantime, while all this fighting is happening inside the building, Nancy and Amici are outside resalting all of the windows, all of the doorways. And so all the demons that have run in are now trapped inside.
Okay, I do just want to point out there's a funny little part where Nancy is on the roof with Amici, watching everybody like go into the building, and she makes a promise of, when this is over, I'm going to have so much sex, but just not with you.
Not with you. Let's go.
Don't look at me that way. All right, we got to go.
Yeah.
So the climax of this big fight scene, you know, that now Sam and Dean are in a room together, fighting with each other. There was a period of time where Dean and Vic and Henriksen were together, you know, like you know, the two of them against all the demons, which is a nice, cool scene. But then the brothers are together, and they come to a point like they were just starting to splash holy water everywhere. And they kind of create this holy water wall, I guess, or a barrier in which finally the chaos of the fighting dies down a little bit, and then it's just like all of the demons staring down the boys.
Yep.
One demon woman stands up and just starts slowly walking towards the boys, puts her hand up, and then mind thrusts the boys against the wall, which is now like a demon go-to move. It's just like a
just
wall
mind
slam.
blast. Yep.
And that's when the boys say, "Henriksen, now!" He presses play on a recorder.
Tape recorder.
And you hear Sam's voice over the loudspeaker doing a Latin exorcism. You know, the demons just start to go crazy. And as Nancy and Amici are assaulting the last door is when one escapes.
Runs off. And it was the cop. It was the same cop who arrested Dean and Sam, who then killed Reedy. Yeah, it's that same guy.
Yeah.
And you think he's just going to kill little Nancy. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't. He just looks at her, like gives her an evil look, as demons do.
Yeah.
And runs off.
Yep.
And so she like closes the door and finishes assaulting. It's like, whew, that was...
Yeah.
So the chanting is happening, and all the demons inside are thrashing and flailing, and, you know, some are actually like, you know, smoking out, and eventually the last of them all smoke out with the lightning flashes and stuff, and are gone, leaving corpses and living people.
Yeah. I thought this effect was pretty cool because like all of the demons, once they smoke out of their meat suits, which I don't think that they've coined the term meat suit yet, but I'm going to use it because it's easy. Yeah. All the demon smoke gathers up at the ceiling in this giant mass, and then at the final word of the Latin exorcism, it kind of implodes on itself.
Yeah.
You know, there's a giant implosion within the cloud, and then it like flames out and then disappears. I was like, ooh, this is pretty epic and pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, because it didn't just like, you know, scoop out a window and is gone. It literally was like, blam.
Yeah.
They're upping their game. So, and they're released. Everyone's like, yay, it worked.
Yeah. Woo.
Hooray. Woo. You know, all work is done. Sam and Dean leave.
Yes, they leave at the request of Henriksen, who has decided to, quote unquote, kill them by putting them in the chopper when it exploded. You know, because he does have a call to make. You know, he's got to make this call, but
yes,
he does the thing which like a few cops have done now in the series, which is lie about like, oh, they escaped. I don't know what happened.
Oh, they're dead.
Yeah.
I want to know how they explain Groves. Like, how do they explain a man who's been dead for months?
Right.
But so Sam and Dean are like, thanks, you know, peace out.
Yeah.
They leave. But back at the police station, you know, everyone's kind of cleaning up, trying to put the world back in order to get together. And in walks a woman with a little girl, and Nancy's like, "What's up, little girl?"
Mm-hmm. And she was like, "I'm looking for two brothers. One is really tall and one is really cute."
Oh.
She says cute little girl things.
Yeah. Nancy's like, "Oh, well, what's your name, little girl?" And little girl goes, "Lilith." And her eyes go flip to like smoke white. Not black demon eyes, smoke white. And everyone in the police station reacts at the same time, which is, it's kind of like when someone drops something, you see it drop and there's nothing you can do about grabbing it before it smashes on the ground. It was that look. And at the last second, you see Henriksen start to like move towards Lilith. Lilith puts up her hand and there's this white flash, and that's all we see.
Yeah. And the scene fades into the boys in their hotel room relaxing after a rough day. Ruby shows up at the hotel. No niceties, just turn on the news. And the news is talking about this tragedy that happened at the police station. There was like a gas leak explosion possibly, but there are like 6 or 7 dead bodies there, including all of the friends that they just made and saved. So Nancy is up there. Henriksen is up there. Amici is up there.
All the FBI guys that were there.
Yeah, anybody that was dead, of course, prior to...
Still dead. But also 2 fugitives. So at least Sam and Dean still have that. Ruby says, "I told you."
Yeah.
Everything I said came true.
Yeah.
My idea would have killed one person, and you ended up getting everybody killed. Everybody. Yeah. And you left someone alive to go running to tell the boss that, this is where they are. This is what's happening. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Because at first I had a question about how did Lilith know they were there? And it's like that guy that got out ran and told mommy, basically.
Yep.
And I didn't catch that the first time. And I also didn't catch that it was the same cop. Like when I watched it the second or third time, I was like, when in the very beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, it's him. It's that guy. So I was able to track him through the episode. Yeah. But that one guy was like the band leader. Of course, Sam and Dean are crushed.
Oh, they are. And Ruby does give them like a little charm bag or hex bag or something to keep Lilith off their trail for now.
Yeah.
But how dare you, this is your fault. This is on you. I'm taking charge next time. It doesn't matter who we kill. Right. And you're right. The boys are just like swimming in a pool of guilt.
Guilt and devastation. And Ruby describes it as like they suffered. Yeah. She drills it home that Sam Dean made the wrong choice. And that not only did more people die, but they died horribly.
Yeah.
I didn't remember when I watched this episode. I didn't remember this part. I didn't remember that's what happens to Henriksen. And I was like, oh, he doesn't get to just walk away and be the good guy.
Yeah.
That one got me.
I did remember that because that was like a twist, right? It's like you think it's going to be the same things. Like, okay, the cop, they finally make amends with the cop that's been after them, or they go their separate ways, and now they have an ally. But it was a nice twist, but also a sad one because you're finally starting to warm up to Henriksen because he's been such an asshole this entire time.
Right, but like a badass, not like a whiny asshole, but like, this is a definite bad guy. Yeah. I mean, a bad guy for Sam and Dean, not in general. But I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, I'm kind of kicking myself for not writing it down, that around this time when they wrote this episode 12, which, by the way, the hotel room, they were in the motel room, number 12. Yeah. Like wagon train something motel, which was cute because it had like cowboys and covered wagons and stuff.
Birch tree kind of stuff. Yeah.
That was that motif. But that's around when the big writer's strike happened.
Yes, I have info on that.
Okay.
Yes, the writer's strike happened around this time, and they were anticipating a strike happening around episodes 6 or 7. So, they wrote this episode as a just-in-case season finale, because they weren't sure if they were going to have a 12-episode season, a 14-episode season, a 22-episode season, like they, originally are supposed to have a 22, 23, but they didn't know what was going to happen. So they wrote this, just in case we've got to make the season finale now, then, let's make like a nice big bang. Literally, figuratively, metaphorically, all of the things, just in case. So we can like kind of wrap up at least something. Right. And have like a cliffhanger or something to go off of next season.
Right.
So the strike did happen, and it lasted, I think, like 100 days or something.
Yep.
But they were able to come back, but only for 4 more episodes. So this is a shorter season. So it ended up being 16 episodes. But yes, they weren't sure if they would have any more after this.
Right. Wow. God, that writer's strike changed the course of television.
It really did. There were so many shows that either ended early when they didn't need to, or just suffered creatively. I think Heroes was a show that really suffered from it because it started off so strong and it had such potential. And then when the writer's strike happened, it just couldn't, the caliber of it just went way down, and it just lost momentum.
And it gave birth to, the reality TV because it's all unscripted, quote, unscripted. And I was like, oh, the death of scripted television. Everyone's into... everyone has their reality shows that they like, which is great, but that doesn't mean there isn't a stink bomb of useless television out there that is called reality TV.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, granted, reality TV existed before this writer's strike, but it definitely was amplified because of it. Because there was always the Real World on MTV.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I loved Road Rules. I watched Road Rules. That was a show I loved. When it first came on, I'm like, this is amazing. And Real World, I watched the first couple seasons, but then I kind of, I don't want to say I aged out of it, but I
No, you probably did, because it was, I was a little bit younger and it was a little bit more taboo, which made it exciting to watch. But yeah, and Survivor was probably on before this.
Oh, yeah.
Which Survivor was definitely like a driving force in, the competition reality show. But yeah, this writer's strike was crazy.
I think they also wrote up they made the Henriksen character kind of a bigger hero character, with the same idea that they had to then kill him off in a more heroic manner. Mm-hmm. Since he was this, he had a pretty upward arching character line. I forget what I was going to say, but they intentionally made him bigger than life for his character, so that when he did die in this episode, it would have added to the drama and tension of that character dying, but then also of Lilith stepping in. Mm-hmm. So one nemesis gone, and he actually turned into, a good guy. A good guy, but gone. Insert the newest big bad, Lilith. So there would have been no relief, right? As a season ender, no relief.
Yeah. No relief, but definitely a cliffhanger.
Yes.
Yes. Similar to the cliffhanger of, it's season 2, right?
The car crash?
Yeah. Or
no,
season 1.
Season 1.
Season 1.
Season 1 ends with the car crash. Yeah, which is still by far the best cliffhanger. End of season. Shocker.
So, Lilith, do you know much about Lilith?
I don't.
She is considered, I think, the first female demon, for sure, but one of the first demons of all time.
Oh, wow.
And she might have been Adam's first wife and was banished to become a demon.
Oh.
I know. But in, supernatural land, she is older and more powerful than Yellow Eyes. So, also, she is the one that holds the contracts. She is the leader of Crossroad Demons as of this point here.
Oh, do we learn that in Supernatural?
I think so. I think it comes up in the next few episodes.
Oh, yeah. So it's not who I thought it was. It's Lilith.
Not yet. This is also because now we have a new eye color, right? We have Lilith, who is white eyes instead of black or red or yellow. So I think they were playing around with, I think I said it once before, but like a hierarchy.
Yeah,
like a
there's
demon
a
hierarchy.
tier of colors. Yeah.
Yes. And Kripke at first wanted to have all of the demons, like in the beginning, once they introduced demons, to be white eyes. And it was either logistics or something else, but they had to use black. But now when they started to use Lilith, that was a Sarah Gamble insert, was Lilith, because I think at first they were going to have a dude demon, because I think even Tammy says there's a new leader and he doesn't like you very much, Sam. So it wasn't until like this episode was approaching that Sarah was like, let's make this demon a woman and let's make her Lilith. Let's make her that one.
The first, the first big bad female.
Yes, but when Lilith came into the picture, Eric is like, finally I can use the white eyes. It's going to be so cool.
Yes.
So, I love this episode.
I did too. But it was pretty meaty.
Yeah.
There was stuff I wanted to talk about, and then there was stuff I didn't want to talk about because I was like, I just want to watch it and let it happen.
Yeah.
You know, this was a hard episode for me to watch because of Sam. Because we weren't watching him struggle. We just watched him not really participate, you know, as Sam's character. He was there in body and he did the fighting and he did the stuff. But his contribution to, you know, the humanity side of the brothers wasn't there. And so that's really hard for me to watch. And I don't know if that means something else is coming because I just don't remember coming soon.
Yeah. I don't exactly remember either, but I did take into consideration the episode prior where he lived 6 months as, you know, as a really hard person, you know, like a really hard, unfeeling person that was just going through the motions and doing what he needed to do. I wasn't sure if that was the writer's or director's intention with Sam at this point.
But you're right. I mean, Sam did pretty much go through hell during the mystery spot of watching his brother die over 100 times. And then spending 6 months thinking that his brother is dead or living like his brother is dead, and just becoming this, you know, killing machine, you know, hunter guy.
Yeah.
If that's what the arc was, it showed in this episode that he's still, you know, recovering and stunned from all that time on his own, doing the things that he was doing.
Right.
I love that Dean is still the hero. You know, he's can shoot a gun and kill a demon and, you know, have a quip, you know, but he's still also the big brother taking care of things. I like that we finally see Henriksen be a little bit more human, you know, after he's been possessed by a demon, he becomes more human. I
did really like his character development just in this like 45-minute episode, and that he was, for me, kind of unlikable just because he was such a douche towards the people around him, like not just towards Sam and Dean. I understand that the boys need to have,
exactly.
They need to have a nemesis in order for anything to move forward. But this guy was just such a douche to everybody. Because remember their lawyer in the last episode that we saw him. You know, he was just such a mansplainer. And
that bit him in the butt. You think that would have like taught him a lesson to not be so cocky. And this episode was great. I mean, great writing, really interesting special effects, you know, with the demon smoke being a little bit more supercharged, good fight scenes, interesting characters. The storyline is moving forward. This wasn't a standalone. This was like they took the story and moved it.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you, Adrian, for joining us during the time that you could. Loved hearing that story about his tattoo.
I loved seeing his tattoo. I wish you guys could have seen the reveal.
I know. I'll try. I did record the video of this, so I'll try and post that clip, and hopefully it'll... And then the next episode we're going to talk about will be Ghost Facers.
Ghost Facers! Oh my gosh.
Which I like those guys. I know some of them, they're unlikable to a lot of people, but I think
in the initial stages, they're very likable. I don't think they go on to do other things outside of Supernatural, which is, I think, what brought the groan factor up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Didn't they do didn't they try to do like a series of Ghost Facers, like real Ghost Facers?
Oh, maybe
like,
they did like
offshoot.
an online thing, maybe.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it was real or not, but a lot of shows were doing that at the time. We're doing like little side webisodes of stuff.
Right.
That was a big thing at the time, so maybe that's what they were doing.
Maybe that's what they did.
I'm
But
not
no, I think they're
100% sure. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please subscribe to us anywhere that you can find podcasts. You can also rate us anywhere that podcast things allow you to rate. Be a good help. We would like that. We would like to hear your thoughts also. You can find us on YouTube. Our audio is on YouTube or at Salt and Burn This. We are at Salt and Burn This everywhere on social. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. When TikToks are posted and made when they have time to make them. I'm trying. It's hard. I'm an old millennial.
Imagine how I feel.
Okay, on that note, we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.